Welcome to Spacecraft Guide, the channel that describes how the most complex and historic spacecraft work. In this episode of Spacecraft Guide, we are going to continue our work on the Lunar Module and the last landing or warning light here, the water separation caution light. Now when you click on this light right here, it takes you to the water separation component caution light page. Now what this warning light does, which is part of the environmental control subsystem, it goes on to indicate low speed condition or failure stoppage in a selected water separator. Light will go off when the other water separator is selected with the H2O separation select valve and the water separator comes up to speed. So if we want to look and see what it does, we'll go down here to schematics and we'll bring up this page right here and we'll see here is the H2O separator. Now it is connected to these two separators, this one, the primary and the secondary. And you can see we have water and then we have conditioned O2. So here's the conditioned O2 and here is the water. So the air comes in, goes into the separator, and the water is separated out. And if this fails, it will go to the secondary separator, which the airflow will come this way, and again the water will flow out here. Now, if you look down here, when they say operation, they mean it is operating at least 800 revolutions per minute. If it doesn't get to 800 revolutions per minute, the H2O separation light will come on. Now, the reason why this component, this light was so important is because you can see the air is recycled in and goes back into the suits. So if there's too much water in the oxygen, there's too much moisture, that means that the water will condense on the visor of the helmet. Now you would think, well, you just have to wipe the moisture off the helmet. The problem is all that moisture is on the inside of the helmet. The first incident of having incidents with moisture happened to Gene Cernan of Apollo 10 and Apollo 17, but it first actually happened on Gemini 9, which in Apollo history came down last week over 50 years ago. He was on a spacewalk over an hour and a half long, and you can see he's got an oxygen line here, but he doesn't have a cooling line for the oxygen. So he worked up such a sweat on the inside of his spacesuit that his visor fogged up. And you can see him putting his hand here on his visor, but that wasn't to wipe off the moisture because the moisture was on the inside. He was using his hand to push his helmet and move his head so he could get his nose to the visor to scrape the moisture off of the inside of his helmet so he could see what he could do and get back into the cabin. Now he almost didn't make it because he couldn't see what he was doing and he was too exhausted. And that's why this was such an important part in the Apollo space program. That's all for this week. If you would like to use this interactive virtual reality exhibit on the command module, the lunar module, and the surface of the moon, just go to our Patreon page and the link will be down below.